Right, okay people, I just wanted to give you a bit of feedback on those questions we did, the ones about coastal landforms. I borrowed some answers from one of you, okay, so you can have a look at those, and I just want to talk through some of them. So the first one was the formation of a spit. Most of you talked about the sand and the sediment moving down the coastline because of longshore drift, and then at a sharp bend in the coastline being deposited into the sea. That's the basic formation of it. So over a long period of time, that then starts to build up and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the spit forming. Over even longer periods of time, you can then get what's called a recurved end. You can see them in the diagram there. And that's where the waves or the wind blows the sand back on itself. Then behind the spit, because the area is sheltered, you get a lot of deposition and it can form what's called a salt marsh. Now the main thing that was missing from most of the answers that you gave me was you all said the sand and sediment moves because of longshore drift, but what you really could have done with putting in was just a little bit to show that you understand what longshore drift is. So a brief explanation of what is meant by longshore drift. So that's the swash, the waves going up the beach, moving the sand and the sediment up the beach at an angle. The backwash, when the water goes back to the sea, coming straight back down. So that zigzagging moves the sediment from one end of the beach to the other. Okay. The other question that we wanted to look at, that we did look at, was explaining what longshore drift is. So we've basically done that. That's where the waves approach the coastline at an angle because of the prevailing wind or the wind, and the swash, the movement up the beach, pushes the sand and sediment up the beach at the same angle that the waves are approaching. The backwash, the water returning back to the sea, comes straight back down. So because of that, you get that zigzag movement up the beach. So sand and sediment starts at one end, and because of the swash and the backwash, the swash, the backwash, it moves from one end of the beach to the other in the direction that the waves are going. Okay, and then the final question that you looked at was that named example of a coastal management scheme. All right, so our named example is the Holderness Coast in the northeast of England. And if you're looking at saying why the area needed protection, because of the rock, the bedrock being very, very soft, the waves are able to erode the coastline very, very quickly. In some areas, the coast's being eroded at around about 10 meters per year, which means lots and lots of land's being lost. So that land could be being used for farmland. So obviously the farmers are then going to lose some of their land, potentially losing some of their income. But also, as this answer says, there's gas terminals in the area which provide quite a lot of gas for the UK. So if they were put under threat, that could impact on economic output in the country. Also, there are towns, small towns and villages along the coastline, for example Mappleton, which needs to be protected. Otherwise, the homes and the businesses will be lost to the sea. There's also infrastructure in the area, roads, which also need to be protected from coastal erosion. Otherwise, that would impact on businesses and on people's quality of life. Okay, so that's just a little bit of feedback for those questions that you did last week. Have a look again at that formation of a spit. All right, and remember, once a spit's formed, if it joins two headlands, it becomes a bar. So as long as you fully understand the formation of a spit, you could easily explain the formation of a bar just by adding a couple of sentences. All right.